Shalom, shalom. Call Allah Yahweh B'Hashem Yoshai, all praises, glory, and honor due unto Yahweh B'Hashem Yoshai, B'Hashem Rakaha Chodesh. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Milson of GMS. And shalom unto the hopeful elect, Kwam Yasha and Abad Babal. Just want to share this article from ZeroHedge.com. It says New York Aldi cashiers reject regular customers' $2 bills, claiming they're fake. And from this article, you can tell that the elites, man, they're targeting the younger generations. And they're indoctrinating them into accepting the MOTB and a cashless society, because they already know that the older generations are set in their ways and you can't change them. That's why the scripture says you cannot put new wine into old bottles. Right? You can't teach an old dog new tricks. So the older generation, they're gone. They're gonna just have to die out. So what they're targeting is the younger generations. And the younger generations, man, they're down with the MOTB for the most part. They don't really care if this place goes full-blown cashless, because they're used to it, because they're on their phones. They're more connected to technology, so to speak. So they're really pushing it on the younger generations. Once they have the younger generations, then everything will go a lot smoother, in terms of, having people accept a cashless society or accept the MOTB down the road. And this article kind of goes into that. It goes into that a bit. So it says New York Aldi cashier rejects regular customers' $2 bills, claiming they're fake. One step closer to a central bank digital currency in 1984. As the younger generations grow up, the norms we once thought were commonplace with money, like sound money backed by gold and silver, and denominations like half dollars and $2 bills, are now ancient history. And this is what the younger generation doesn't know about. The older generation, they know. Like, that's why you hear the apostles and elders, they go into this a lot. I remember when I first came into the truth about 15 years ago, that's what they were going into. Talking about gold and silver, talking about how they experienced that. They held gold and silver coins, going into real banknotes and what it is. They were going into the history of that. Now, 15 years later, this new generation that came in, they don't know anything about that. So it is ancient history. It is ancient history, man. Right? So, hey, man, I agree with that. It is ancient history right now. So it says, case in point, Richard Seeger of Wurtsboro, New York, who was shopping at an Aldi when the cashier refused to take his $2 bills, thinking they were fake. According to a new article from the NY Post, I was in Aldi's this morning in Monticello. I wanted to pay with some $2 bills. The young guy refused to accept them and insisted they were counterfeit. Steger wrote on a Facebook group called Uncensored Sullivan County, New York News and Politics. Yeah, because I believe the $2 bill, yes, it's still in circulation. You can still use it, but it's very rare. Like, people don't use it as much as they used to back in the day. So a lot of people are not really familiar with the $2 bill. Like, they'll see it, but it's like, oh, wow, it's very rare. Anyways, it says 2 young cashiers immediately declared the bills counterfeit without even attempting to verify them. Steger urged one to check, only to be met with arrogant dismissal. The cashier claimed the phrase, "This note is legal tender for all debts, public and private," indicated a clear misunderstanding of its meaning. Debatable, we know. He then handed the bills to a female co-worker. The woman asked if the young man had checked the bills with a counterfeit marker. Steger wrote he whispered, "No, they're fake." So without even checking them, she rudely and arrogantly told me, "We're not accepting them." Then she gave me the "F-U, have a nice day" smile to leave. That's how that young generation is, man. Bunch of monsters too. And they're rude too. They have no goddamn manners. Especially when they're ignorant and they don't know anything. They're very, very rude and pompous, man. That's that young generation. Yeah, a lot of the young generation ain't right, man. A lot of these school kids, they're bugged out. A lot of them are gonna die too. A lot of you little kids, you're gonna be put to death. A lot of you rebellious kids, you're gonna get your heads chopped off. You're gonna starve to death, and you're gonna eat missiles too. Because you ain't right. If you know what I mean, he continued, absolutely disgusting and unprofessional treatment to a regular customer. Aldi did not respond to the Post's request for comment. The $2 bill featuring Thomas Jefferson and Trumbull's Declaration of Independence has been in its current design since 1976, once tied to gambling and fraud. 1.2 billion are in circulation today. There you go. All right, so give me 1 second. I have to be Salakia. I have to come back. So yeah, man, you see it right here. Now let me get a precept. So the younger generation, they don't know anything, man, and they're not taught anything. But the onus is on the older generation to teach the new generation, and the scriptures goes into that. Right. So let me get a precept here. This is Proverbs chapter 22, verse 6. It says, "Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it." Yeah, man. So that's your duty as a parent. You're supposed to instruct your children. You're supposed to train them up the proper way. Right? You're supposed to train up a child in that age of vanity, and that's really to keep them from the sins and snares of it. Which, what do I mean? Vanity. Right? So in their young years, before they hit 12, you got to be on them, man. You got to be strict with them. You got to discipline them. You got to show them tender love and care. You got to correct them all the time, man. Show them what's right and wrong. Right? So yeah, man, you got to, it's really to keep them from the snares and sins, in that learning age. And what you're really doing is you're really preparing them to really serve the Lord and to fulfill their purpose, right? Because that's our purpose as Israelites, right? We're set up to serve the Lord, right? So you have to remember that. You're supposed to chastise them. You're supposed to keep them under discipline, and that really starts with the father. Yes, you need your mother, but you need your father to do that. Your father's supposed to discipline you. Especially when you hit 12 and up, your father's supposed to be with you. You're supposed to be under your father, learning the family business. If you don't have a father, you're supposed to be with your uncle or your big brother that's of age, right? If he's an adult. And if you don't have any of those, you're supposed to be under a man. Okay? Yeah, so you're supposed to be under a man because your father, a male figure, they enforce discipline, and he's gonna really train you up to be a soldier, man. You have to be a soldier, right? So yeah, you got to train them up as soldiers as well. You have to teach them how to handle arms, keep rank, observe the word of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, and that's to train them so they don't go out of the way when it comes to serving Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Right, and I know in the times that we're living in, it's very different, because we're under the curses and we're in captivity. And you can't do certain things with your kids, so it's not going to be perfect, but you got to do it to the best of your ability. So I'm just bringing this out, man. You got to train your kids up the proper way in terms of serving Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, because this is going against the law. Because this is going into the MOTB. This is about inserting something into your flesh, going cashless. That's not right. So you got to train your kids about the value of a dollar, about where money goes back to, about how the Lord, he doesn't like unjust weights. He doesn't like a false balance. Right? You gotta teach them about money. You gotta teach them about history. You gotta teach them about the laws, statutes, and commandments. You gotta teach them that the MOTB is actually going against the law. because they're surrounded by all these negative influences at school, starting with their friends, the teachers, the curriculum that they're learning. So you got to be on their ass, right? Anyways, let's go into Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 7. And it says, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children. Actually, let me start up a bit. I'll start at verse 4. Hear, O Israel, Yahweh, our power, is one. Yahweh is one, right? And it says, and thou shalt love thy power, or Yahweh Ba'ashem Yoshai, thy power, with all thine heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might. And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart. And that heart is not talking about your fleshly heart, it's talking about your mind, your lob. The Hebrew word for heart is lob, which means your mind. So you got to remember it, keep it in your mind. Meditate upon Yahweh Ba'ashem Yoshai's precepts. Verse 6, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. Yeah, so, that's not a big deal, man. You can go through articles, even though it's boring to them. You can pull up some examples on TV and show them that, the MOTB is out there, the chip is out there. Watch out for that. Especially if they're young, man. If they're under the age of 12, you got to drill that into their head, man. Drill it into their head until it's boring to them, until they're tired of it. So yeah, you're supposed to sit down with them and you're supposed to train them, man. And it says in your house. So that doesn't mean you just send them to school, because you got to teach them at your house. Because that's what a lot of Israelite parents do. A lot of Jake parents, they just send their kid to school and let the teacher do everything to them. Teach them when they're supposed to be teaching them. Then they wonder why their kid's all fucked up, getting phone calls. They're on Ritalin, hyperactive. So anyways, it says, and thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thy hand, and they shall be as frontlets between thine eyes. So that's what I want to get there. I'm done with that. So it says, Proverbs chapter 14, verse 12, there is a way which seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. That's right. And usually, a man, he's set in his ways, right? So he learned all the bad habits in his childhood, in his youth, and now it seems right unto him to continue that way. So you don't want your child, your offspring, to be like this, because he's going to receive a bitter end, which is death. All right, so you got to teach your kids before they become an adult. You can't teach them when they're adults. You can't. Unless the Lord sees that child as very, very special and he changes them. But the onus is on you. You got to train up your children. Verse 6, Ephesians chapter 6, verse 10. Actually, I'm going to start at verse 11. Put on the whole armor of the Most High, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. And like I said earlier, I'm going into training up a child in that age of vanity, which is really to keep them from the sins and snares of vanity, because there's a lot of snares and traps out there, and there's a lot of wiles, and you got to teach your kid to survive spiritually out here, because there's a lot of tricks. This is a trick too, getting them to buy into a cashless society. And down the road, they end up taking the MOTB because they weren't taught anything. And that goes into other things, man, going into the philosophies of the other nations, getting caught up in all these relationships, committing adultery, just being stupid. You got to teach them, right? So that's why I'm bringing this out, because there's a lot of traps out here. Wiles, trickery, to get you off your game. That's why it says in 2 Corinthians 2:11, for we are not ignorant of Satan's devices. Yeah, but you're not ignorant because you were taught. You were taught in your youth. That's why you're not ignorant. You didn't get this truth on your own. You were taught by somebody. You were taught by your parents and also your spiritual parents. And that's another thing. We have spiritual parents too that are teaching the young men, the men that are young in the spirit, to avoid the certain traps that are out here. So that starts with the elders and apostles, of course, and your different camp heads, and also the different brothers that are actually over you, whether you like to accept it or not. Right? Whether you like to accept it or not. All right. So I'm going to read this one more time. It says, put on the whole armor of the Most High, which is the truth, the law, statutes, and commandments, and the name of Yahweh Bashem El Shai, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. That's right. And that's what this is backed by. This is backed by what? This is backed by principalities, because there's demons on the money. There's a spirit behind this. Okay, there's a wicked spirit behind this. And it says against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world. Yeah, going into the witches and warlocks and the elites who work with them. Against spiritual wickedness in high places, and that's included as well. So it says, verse 13, wherefore take unto you the whole armor of the Most High, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all to stand. So you got to put on the whole armor. You got to put on the name of Yahweh Bashem El Shai and the word, so you don't get caught out there, so you don't get tricked, so you don't get snared, so you don't get devoured. Last precept, this is Revelation chapter 13, verse 16. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. And pretty much, man, the youth that's going to be saved out of this, they're going to be a part of the elect anyway. But notice it says here in verse 16, and he causeth all, okay, both small and great. So that includes little children. Little children are going to take the chip too. But if you're in the position to teach a child, or to teach your own child, you should do it. Just do it. Because it shows you in this article, the young generation don't know shit. They don't know anything. They're stupid, man. And they're very arrogant. And sometimes, man, you don't want to talk to these kids, man, because of how rude they are. But, if the Spirit's on you, do it. If the Spirit's on you, do it. Don't quench the Spirit. All right, so, and it says here, small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. That's where it's going to go. And that's going into the MOTB, aka cashless payments, cashless transactions. And that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. That's right. So if you don't have this mark, you won't be able to buy and sell. Same as your kids. And your kids are going to become the barcode. You're going to become the barcode if you take this. So anyways, man, with that, hope this was edifying. Real quick, just thought I'd share something. I saw this, and I just thought of the scriptures. I was like, oh wow, this younger generation too. They're all being brainwashed and indoctrinated into accepting this cashless society. So why not do a video on it? So I hope this was edifying. Until next time, just want to give all praises, glory, and honor due unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem Rakah HaChodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone of GMS. To you I say shalom, and shalom unto the hopeful elect. Kwam Yashala and Abba Babal. Shalom.